Those who follow me on this channel know this is my tool stack, and in a recent Inner Circle call we just went through the process of how I create my videos and how Paco is writing his articles in the paperless movement, how we decouple it from our project management tools and use our personal knowledge management tools in order to do so. I reviewed my current setup inside Heptabase. When I saw how Paco was amazingly doing his personal workflow of creating the articles in Tana, I was tempted to go into Tana and see if I can actually improve my workflow of video production using Tana in combination with Heptabase. And along with this, I also added Notion to give it a try again for this specific use case. And that's why it's so powerful to have a tool stack like this. That's what our members can lay out in the myICOR app to see now the impact it has to add these tools to the tool stack, right? So currently this is a perfectly set up workflow. I know exactly where my information goes in Heptabase. I'm using it for deep thinking, inner world, visual thinking, and so on. And you see already Notion is popping up there, and it just indicates that if you use this for deep thinking too, be sure that you know exactly what tool you use for what. And now let's look into the individual tools and for a specific use case, how I would use them. And my final conclusion, spoiler alert, things haven't changed. I will stay in Heptabase, but I will give you the reason exactly why and which of the tools that I tested here, Notion versus Tana, actually fall behind big time. But before we go there, let's go into the membership and let's see what triggered actually to create a video, okay? Nicole, one of our Inner Circle members, posted this question that she is feeling that ClickUp is overkill and so on. And I thought I need to make a video out of this. But where do I store this information now? Well, currently it's easy for me because in ClickUp we have a fully established work stream creating the videos. Okay, this is the high-level work stream of creating the YouTube videos that you watch on this channel, but also on the other channels that we have. And I'm the only person working in there right now. So I can be more flexible without annoying the team that we have too many items in here. So whenever something pops up like this, I tend to just place it here. But then when I go into the details, I tend to just add a link to my PKM system. So as nobody else can open it, I can open it and it opens directly the notes in my PKM system, in this case Heptabase, that I will take about this video. And here it is, and all I have right now is it's related to this comment. And again, there's another context, and that's what we learn in ICOR, that we want to have context and not duplicating information. So this way I can perfectly, when I think about this video, what was this all about? One click, it will open up this comment from Nicole, and I can start thinking about, okay, how do I want to work on this video? And I can think about this in my personal knowledge management system without affecting the team, if there would be any, right? So, but everything is in context. The thing is, how do I keep track of ideas that are not inside our project management tool? It would overload everything, you know, that's already a lot that we have here, but it's overkill if this would become even more. So I need to have a place where I can have all this controlled, and that's, as you might have seen already, is in Heptabase. And here, you know, I have all these video ideas. You can have it as a table as well, and this works as easy as going to the journal and say, I have an amazing video idea, and I can turn this into a card, open up the card, add the tag PM video, and just by adding the video I get additional fields that I now can fill out. What's the potential about this video? Man, this is amazing. What's the status? Well, it's under consideration. What tool is relevant? So there's even cross-linking on Heptabase. This is related to Heptabase, let's say, and then depending on the progress I can fill out these fields. This is it. This is very basic, because when we now go to Tana, there's not so much more control in Heptabase that you have than just, you know, having the status and filtered by this. You can group it, you can have a sort, and you can filter by things. But the cards themselves, there's not much detail. There's not additional custom fields that I can show up on these cards. I have to open up the card to see the details. Why I come back to the conclusion that I will keep using Heptabase, you will see in a moment when we now open up Tana. And we want to just have exactly the same thing going here. Now let's say I'm just coming up with this idea, okay? I would go to the journal, I write this down. I just indent and maybe add the link to the relevant context, and that's it. And now I can add a hashtag and say video factory. Boom. It's the similar approach. It's even faster than in Heptabase. That's what I really love about Tana. I can immediately add these tags and I just keep writing and spit out the information. That's really great. That's an outlining experience I really love. And there is some ways to be really fast in Heptabase, but it's unmatched in Tana for sure. So now I can select here the video type. I can add the source that I got it from. So I could actually use this link and paste it in here if I want, right? So I have direct context and what tool is related here. I can also search for any tool that I want and a priority that I want to give here and so on. So by filling out these fields, I can close here, and on a day I can keep writing, and that's really easy to capture things and to organize them on the fly. When I go now to the tag like we did in Heptabase, where we opened up the tag in the tables there too, this is how it looks in Tana, right? So it appears now here as a new card. Do you need a project management tool? Here are all the other things, so I can move them around here. But you see, there are things appearing here like this priority shows up. And it goes a lot deeper. You can group by things. You can display all the other things, like here. So when I add Raycast, is it really fancy? I'm not sure. Also, having always the tag on top, I tried to find a solution to remove this. These things are just too much work for me right now to figure out. Also, if I go to configure a super tag, okay, and then go here, and they have now, well, they try to make things simple with the building blocks, but in the end you need to go here to these places and fill them out and so on. This is all fancy when you want to really have a dynamic system, and depending on what priority I set, things happen on the end and AI is triggered and all this. Yes, I see it. And I was this type of person in the past where I wanted to have all this fanciness happening. But I have to say, after I digged into this, I said, no man. All I need to know in the end is just the things that I want to focus on right now. I can still filter by potential, so at least it's the highest potential on top that I have here, and I move the things around. The thing to keep track of these videos is ClickUp. So if anything is now in progress, this appears inside ClickUp, and to keep track again, talking about context, I just click on the task and it opens up ClickUp and it opens up the task here. That's important to understand, that we need to have different tools. Now I'm in the team space. This is the high level planning. This is what we want to focus on this week, what we want to publish, when do we want to publish, all the details the team needs to have in order to publish it, like the thumbnail and all these things. But when it comes to really thinking about the video itself, I need to be in my space, and I have a complete different way to work creatively on these things here. Now let's go into Notion and let's have a look what this looks like. Well, with Notion, I was really disappointed because it was my favorite tool back in the time, I think 2019, and Rome Research came out, and Notion was the first one adapting these tagging and the backlinking and things like that. It was amazing. Interconnected databases I built. I used Notion in combination with ClickUp. Before that, we used actually ClickUp as the business project management tool and Notion as the business knowledge management tool in combination. And eventually we removed Notion completely from our tool stack and used ClickUp for both worlds, right? But now I thought that could be a reason to go back to Notion just for my personal knowledge management. Write down the video scripts or the notes and things like that to keep track of my ideas, of video ideas, and to make them. So let's open up Notion and let's have a look how this would look like. Because my idea was to build an amazing database, okay, of video ideas and move them around and all this things like that. But no man, I'm not going back to Notion. It is so much friction. It is exactly what the problem was with Notion. Start writing and cross-connecting information on the fly, and obviously you can do this in Notion too. I open up here the video idea. Again, as you can see, when we do full screen, we have the similar thing like in Tana and in Heptabase. We have here the custom fields. They are based on the database, but as far I can see, I cannot add this into two different databases at the same time. And don't tell me, cross-connect it and make a reference table like here, and I make then a relationship, okay, and I can can make every relationship like this in a two-way relation, and I can give it a name, and then I said relation, and now I can look here for the actual thing that I have the relation with. It's not the same thing, because this item here, when I do this, it's still a page in its own. And now I can select something from a different database, and now it's cross-connected. And when I go here, I have the cross-connection, the references and so on. But this is not as flexible as in a PKM system, because now, for example, in Heptabase, here we added a tag, and therefore you can see it in Notion like we added it to a database. However, now I can simply add another tag, and therefore it's appearing in another database. When I go to tool here, see, that's a whole other database, but there you go. It's appearing here now just because I added a tag. And similar, it works inside Tana, and you can go much more complex in Tana. But as I said, to me, this is more than enough. And you see, by just adding the tool, I also got the additional fields. What is the tool about? What's the website? You know, do we use the tool or not? And if I remove it, it stays on this one database. This is not possible, to my understanding, inside Notion or inside ClickUp, you know. Well, in ClickUp, it's actually possible. In ClickUp, it's actually possible because here is the task, and I always can go into the task and add it to another list, okay? I could now add it to the podcast too. And now it's living in both worlds. See, do you need a project management tool? It's here. And it's also living in YouTube videos. Here. So that's amazing about ClickUp, that we can add this, we can easily move the things around, and to my understanding that's not possible in Notion. This being said, ClickUp is no personal knowledge management. I don't want to be in here and take notes, and I won't create a personal knowledge with interconnected information. So we tried this in the past where we had a database with the tools, you know, and try to leverage the referencing in the relationship fields and so on inside ClickUp. That's just too cumbersome to do and not relevant for the team right now. If we would, you know, if this would be sponsors and so on, this would be business knowledge management, we would need to have it in ClickUp, and it's a whole other story. But establishing the final product that I have to do personally, I have to move to my personal space in order to do that. And that's why we would never force our team members to use certain tools to carry out their work. It would be like saying you have to edit your videos inside ClickUp. It's just impossible. And there you suddenly see, oh yeah, it's totally impossible. But if you're a writer, if you're a content creator, and if you're an engineer and so on, you need to have special tools in order to carry out your work. But you have to have then tools where you track the work. And that's where it becomes important to get the big picture. So long story short, this is still my tool stack, and Paco is still using Tana, because these are the tools that enable the best out of us, and that's why we keep using them. Let me know in the comments below. Maybe you're a content creator too. Maybe you have to do a lot of research. Maybe you are an engineer and have these struggles too, or you're a project manager and you have no idea where to do your problem solving. Let me know in the comments below. That's what we're here for. So I'm really curious to hear your stories and your use cases and how you manage your personal knowledge management in this regard. If you're already a member and you haven't used the tool yet, go in there, fill them out. We have already 69 of our members who filled out their ICOR tool stacks. You see all the people coming up here. 191 tools were already added to the database. Come in and learn everything about ICOR, how you can integrate this with your own system. Find out the gaps that you have, and inside our membership, we have the ICOR journey that walks you step by step through all the things that you need to know to build a productivity system end to end in the most effective way possible. And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so I can catch you up next time.